The music swelled inside the grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead, champagne glasses clinked, and laughter filled the air. Everyone seemed to belong except him. Daniel Hayes sat alone at a corner table, his posture straight but his eyes heavy. A decorated veteran, he had spent years in combat zones, facing dangers most would never imagine. Yet here, surrounded by tuxedos, diamonds, and polished smiles, he felt more out of place than he ever had in uniform. He hadn't come for the celebration. He came because the bride was his cousina, the only family who still called after his discharge. She insisted he attend, said he deserved to be around Joy. But sitting there in his borrowed suit, with no partner on his arm and whispers of the single dad floating through the air, Daniel felt like a stranger at his own family's table. Across the room, couples danced, friends posed for photos, and Daniel, he adjusted his tie and stared at the untouched glass of champagne in front of him, already planning how soon he could leave without insulting anyone. That's when a shadow fell across his table. "Mind if I sit?" Daniel looked up. She was striking, and not just because of her tailored gown or the quiet confidence in her stance, but because of her eyes. They carried the same weariness he recognized in his own. It took him a second to realize who she was. Claire Reynolds, the CEO of Reynolds International, a billionaire, a woman whose face had been on magazine covers, whose name was spoken with awe. Daniel blinked, wondering if she'd lost her way to the VIP tables. "You a broken bar, sure," he muttered. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Do me a favor, pretend you're with me." Daniel's eyebrows shot up. "What?" Claire's eyes flicked toward a group of men in suits nearby, their gazes too obvious, their smiles too practiced. "They don't take no for an answer," she whispered. "But if they think I'm here with someone, they'll back off." For a moment, Daniel thought she was joking, but her hand slid naturally into his. Her fingers cool but steady. Her smile lit up, and not the stiff kind for cameras, but the kind a woman wears when she finally feels safe. Daniel cleared his throat. "You sure about this? I'm not exactly a broken bar type of date." Her laugh was soft. "Trust me, you're perfect." The night changed after that. When the next slow song began, Clara tugged him to the dance floor. Daniel resisted. A combat training hadn't prepared him for swaying under chandeliers, but she only smiled and said, "Just follow my lead." To his surprise, it wasn't awkward. Her presence was calm, grounding. For the first time all evening, Daniel didn't feel like an outsider. As they danced, they talked, not about business or wealth, but about real things. Clara admitted she often felt trapped by expectations, lonely in crowded rooms where everyone wanted something from her. Daniel confessed that after his wife's passing, raising his daughter alone sometimes felt like carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. "Her name's Lily," he said, eyes softening. "She's 9. She thinks I'm invincible, but most days I'm just trying to keep it together." Clara squeezed his hand. "Sounds like she already has everything she needs." For a moment, Daniel couldn't speak. No one had ever said that to him before. But the illusion shattered when one of the suited men from earlier strode over. His smile was tight, his voice sharp. "Claire, didn't know you brought company." His eyes flicked over Daniel dismissively, the way some looked at waiters. Clara's grip tightened. "I did." The man's smirk widened. "Come on, Claire, you don't have to pretend." Daniel felt something old stir inside him, the same protective instinct that had carried him through firefights and sleepless nights. He straightened, his voice calm but firm. "She's not pretending." For the first time that night, the arrogance in the man's eyes faltered. Daniel didn't need wealth or titles. His presence alone carried the kind of strength you can't buy. The man muttered something under his breath and walked away. Claire exhaled, shoulders relaxing. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel nodded. No one should feel cornered at a wedding. Hours passed. They laughed, shared stories, even stole quiet moments on the terrace where city lights twinkled like fallen stars. Daniel expected her to slip away eventually, to return to her world of polished power. But she stayed. When the night ended, Claire touched his arm. "Danielle, a broken bar tonight. You reminded me what it feels like to be seen, and not as a CEO, but as a person. I won't forget that." He smiled faintly. "And you reminded me I'm not invisible." They exchanged numbers, almost shyly, like teenagers at a school dance. Weeks later, Daniel sat at his kitchen table, Lily's laughter echoing from the living room as she played with the puppy.